So the first teaching tonight, we're going to start with looking at some historical aspects of the English Bible. I am going to start by looking at Psalm chapter 12, verse 6. Yo, I do. Verse 6. Hope I don't lose my voice tonight. 12:6. Psalm 12:6. The words of Yahweh are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. There's that number 7 again, a holy number. I was reading in Revelation and looking to see how many times the number 7 shows up in Revelation. I can't remember now. It's either 53 or 58 times. So looking at Psalm 12:6, it emphasizes the purity and perfection of Yah's words. It states that the words of Elohim are flawless and compares them to silver that has been refined in a furnace, purified 7 times. This imagery highlights the idea that Yah's words are without error and have been tested for their truthfulness. Yes. Key themes of Psalm 12:6. The phrase pure words indicates that Yah's messages are free from any imperfection. The comparison to silver and gold signifies value and the process of purification. Silver is refined through intense heat, which removes impurities. This symbolizes the trials that Yah's words endure, proving their reliability. The mention of purified 7 times suggests completeness and ultimate perfection, as the number 7 often represents wholeness in biblical literature. So related verses to Psalm 12:6. We'll look at Proverbs chapter 30, verse 5. Every word of Elohim is pure. He is a shield unto them that put their trust in him. Every word of Yahweh is pure. Then we go to Psalm chapter 18, verse 30. As for El, his way is perfect. The word of Yahweh is tried. He is a buckler to all those that trust in him. Finally, Psalm 119, verse 140. Your word is pure, therefore your servant loves it. Now, the English Bible, purified 7 times. Many Bible believers teach that the book of Psalms prophesies of Yah's supernatural intervention and preservation of his word in the English language. The words of Yahweh are pure words, as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times. The King James Bible became the 7th purification of the English translation in fulfillment of this prophecy. Maybe yes, maybe no. But it was purified 7 times as we go through here. There were 6 distinct editions leading up to the King James, beginning in 1525 with Tyndale's Bible. The 7th and final edition was the King James Bible Authorized Version of King James I in 1611. The basis for this premise can also be demonstrated by considering the 15 rules of translation provided to the King James translators, which I have a copy of here. The 14th rule names the 6 translations considered by the KJV Translation Committee as true predecessors of the King James Bible. The translations to be used, quote, when they agree better with the text than the Bishop's Bible, are the Tyndale, Matthew, Coverdale, Whitchurch, which is also known as the Cranmer's or Great Bible, and the Geneva Bible of 1560. Right here. This is a facsimile copy of it. These rules also show that justification exists for excluding the Catholic Douay-Rheims version and the Wycliffe Bible from the foundational versions, since they were translated from Latin. These were not. These are translated from the source languages, Hebrew and or Greek, not Latin. The 7 stages of purification are detailed as follows. Number 1, the Tyndale Bible of 1525. William Tyndale was known as the father of the English Bible. He spoke 7 different languages fluently: Hebrew, Greek, Latin, Italian, Spanish, English, and French, and was the sole translator of the first printed English New Testament. He had a price on his head and was hunted for 11 years by his king and the Roman Catholic Church. On October 6, 1536, he was tied to a stake, strangled, and consumed with fire. Before his strangling, he was given one last chance to recant, but he refused to do so. He was allowed a moment to pray and cried out, "Father, open the King of England's eyes." Yah answered his prayer when King Henry VIII officially sanctioned the publishing of 2 separate Bibles in the English language within a year of Tyndale's martyrdom. The second Bible of 1535 is the Coverdale Bible. It was named after Tyndale's former proofreader at Antwerp, Miles Coverdale. He produced the first complete printed English Bible. His work consisted primarily of Tyndale's New Testament and Pentateuch, the 5 books of Moshe, with the remaining Old Testament books rendered primarily from Luther's German translation. He omitted the marginal notes associated with Tyndale's Bible. King Henry officially sanctioned the second edition printed in 1537. The Roman Catholic Church tried unsuccessfully to silence Coverdale. He escaped only days before they would have captured him. The good old Roman Catholic Church. The third Bible, English Bible, the Matthew Bible, 1537. John Rogers, using the pseudonym of Thomas Matthews, continued Tyndale's work while Tyndale was imprisoned in a dungeon. After the death of Edward VI in 1553, Queen Mary came into power with the ambition of burning every Protestant that would not recant and submit to the established Church of Rome. John Rogers was burned first because he was the closest to Tyndale. Over 300 leading Protestant scholars in England were burned at the stake during what's known as Bloody Mary's four-year reign. Most of the English refugees fled to Geneva, Switzerland. Number 4, the Great Bible of 1538. The translation was named the Great Bible because of its exceptional size, 16.5 inches by 11 inches. That's a big one. This Bible was a revision of the Matthew Bible, not including Rogers' marginal notes. Henry VIII authorized by royal injunction the printing of 20,000 copies of this translation for distribution to every church in England. It has the distinction of being the first Bible officially authorized for public use in England's churches. Thus, Tyndale's dying prayer was quickly answered. And then this one here, the one I love to read because it's in the Old English. The Geneva Bible, 1560. Theodore Beza, John Knox, William Whittingham, and Miles Coverdale labored 6 years to produce the Geneva Bible. This translation included thousands of explanatory notes, which promoted study and understanding of the text. The Geneva Bible was the first to feature numbered verses and italics, and the first English Bible translated entirely from the original languages. It is quoted over 5,000 times in the plays of William Shakespeare. The Geneva Bible came to America with John Smith in 1607 and later on board the Mayflower with the Pilgrims. It was the Bible used to lead Pocahontas and her people to the Messiah, Yahushua HaMashiach. That I did not know. The Bishop's Bible of 1568. The changes instituted in the Bishop's Bible were mostly cosmetic, including many pictures and thicker, more expensive paper. The Geneva Bible remained the people's Bible until the 1611 authorized version of the King James Bible. Number 7, the King James authorized version of 1611. The King James Version of the Bible became the seventh purification of the English translation and is as silver tried in a furnace of earth, purified 7 times, so to speak. The Puritans vowed to remove the remnants of Roman Catholicism from the Church of England. Thus, Dr. John Reynolds, president of Corpus Christi College at Oxford, suggested to King James I that a translation be produced that the common people could understand, read, and love. This undertaking began when approximately 1,000 ministers sent a petition to King James. It was finally agreed that a new translation, including any marginal notes or comments, not including any marginal notes or comments, there's a reason for that. No marginal notes were incorporated into this translation, except for explanations of Greek or Hebrew words and the provision of cross-references. When King James commissioned the work in 1604, Bishop Richard Bancroft drafted the 15 rules to govern the project. In the same year of 1604, a group of 54 of the best scholars in England were chosen to begin a new translation into English. In 1611, they completed the book that later became known as the Authorized Version. There are some interesting observations to make on the 15 rules. Translation rules number 1, 2, 6, and 14 are quite interesting. Rule number 1 mandated that their translation use the Bishop's Bible as a base text whenever possible. This was likely because the Bishop's translation was the official Bible of the church. Remember, 20,000 copies were authorized and spread out to all the churches in England. However, Tyndale's translation ended up being far more influential, accounting for 4/5 or 80% of the King James Version New Testament. Rule number 2 mandated the use of the vulgar names, such as Lord, God, so on and so forth. That was rule number 2. Rule number 6 mandated no study notes in the margins of the new translation. The Geneva Bible, which was the most popular English translation of the time, had many marginal notations, and yes, it does, some of which King James read as challenges to his royal authority. This was the main motivation for a new translation. Thus, the KJV translation was limited from making any study notes at all. They will assert my authority as king. Translation rule number 14 gives further evidence for the fact that the intention was for the King James translation to be more of a revision of existing English translations than a new translation. The translators utilized the existing English text where possible. The early editions of the Authorized Version included the Apocrypha. The 1611 does. They included these books between the canonical Old and New Testament books to show that they were not inspired. All of the apocryphal books were written in Greek, with the exception of one written in Latin. I still haven't found out what that one is yet. A 1613 edition of the King James was printed excluding the Apocrypha 2 years later. It is interesting to note that the apocryphal books were distributed within the text of the Old Testament Vaticanus, Sinaiticus, and the other Egyptian manuscripts favored by the modern versions and the modern-day textual critics. Which today, the Sefer that I read quite often has those books in it.